Hey everybody, I hope and pray that you're doing well. Today, as we come to our word from the Word, and today that word is praying. Praying. What an appropriate word for our focus on prayer and conversations with God. And this week, as we're continuing on in First Kings, we're going to finish up chapter 18, and then we'll be through chapter 21 by the end of the week. So you can be reading these chapters and see what all's going on. Now, we talked last week about the great proof of God answering by fire there on Mount Carmel. And right after that, remember, it has been a drought for over three and a half years. And now we see that the God who answered by fire is now going to prove again that he is still in control, and he is going to send rain once again. But he doesn't just send it for no reason. He sends it, as James tells us, because Elijah prayed. And that's what we're going to see today. So 1 Kings chapter 18, verses 41, and we'll read down to verse 44, says, Then Elijah said to Ahab, Go up, eat and drink, for there is the sound of abundance of rain. So Ahab went up to eat and drink. Elijah went up to the top of Carmel. Then he bowed down on the ground and put his face between his knees. And he said to his servant, Go up now, look toward the sea. So he went up, looked, and said, There is nothing. And 7 times he said, Go again. Then it came to pass the 7th time that he said, There is a cloud as small as a man's hand rising out of the sea. So he said, Go up, say to Ahab, Prepare your chariot, and go down before the rain stops you. Now, I think it is kind of interesting to note if you've been reading along and you see that Ahab has been against him all along, but now it's as though because God answered by fire and he sees the proof that our God is the one true God, that now, as soon as Elijah says this, he doesn't wait around to see if it happens. He seems to take Elijah at his word. Now, that doesn't mean that his heart is changed completely at this moment, and we'll see that in the rest of this week. But it does mean that at least there was proof of God being there, being in control. But now he is believing what Elijah's telling him. Now, even Elijah doing this had to be by faith. He was praying by faith, praying because the Lord had led him even to pray this prayer. He had prayed for it to stop, and at his word, it would now begin to rain again. This again is all against Baal, right? It's proving that Baal, the storm god, had no control over those things, but that the one true God did. And so it got me to thinking about looking here that Elijah would pray, and he sends the servant, and you could probably make all kind of suggestions as to why it had to be 7 times. And we know that the Lord loves to use that number 7 throughout Scripture. But more importantly for me is just even just looking at it at face value to say that, look, he was praying. He asked his servant, I want you to go see if it has begun to happen. In other words, I want you to let me know as soon as my prayer is being answered. Now, I wonder how many times during this wouldn't have been just a short prayer. I don't imagine. I don't imagine that any prayer for God to begin using the precipitation and the moisture that was there in the sea to gather together to make a storm and make a cloud that was going to bring an abundance of rain where it had not rained in so long. I don't believe that was just, okay, Lord, I pray now that you would make it rain. I believe that prayer was much deeper, much more sincere and heartfelt, and had much more of a divine purpose behind it. But it just got me to thinking in our own prayer lives. How often do we give up when we don't see the answer right away? How many of us would made it to 7 times praying for something? I mean, really praying for something impossible to happen. Now, I know there's often times where we're seem to be praying for a billboard sign, and God was using miraculous signs, and especially in the time of the prophets, to prove that he was God. Ultimately, for us, he sent Jesus as the ultimate fulfillment of every sign we would ever need. But can you imagine praying for it to start raining and to stop raining before that? But today, maybe God's laid something on your heart that you need to pray about. And that he doesn't want you to just pray that one time, but that he wants you to continue to pray and continually come to him sincerely in prayer. Even as I'm sharing this with you, there's things going on in my life, as it is in all of our lives, where I even wonder with this, maybe I've given up too early on praying for that. Maybe I need to pray just one more time. Could you imagine if he had stopped on prayer number 6 and said, well, never mind, it's not what the Lord would have it to be? But that he followed the New Testament encouragement from Paul to pray without ceasing. So today, how many times do you need to pray? God bless you, and I pray you have a great, great day.